Thank you very much. Before I read the declaration, for which I would like to thank Anil Rajdan sir for putting in his mind in preparing this declaration just before this session. One thing very important, we had all been talking about net zero and making our world more sustainable. And Dr. Sodhi just now talked about utilization of lesser resources and circular economy and circulating it. Yesterday, there was one session where Dr. Chetan Solanki was there. Last but one session, very few of the delegates were here. And he also talked about, he said that we are not understanding what we are into. We are utilizing so many resources and then trying to reduce them. And that is very, very relevant, because we are all running after increasing our GDP, producing more, emitting more in the atmosphere, and then that has a cost. Now, if you Google search, I was doing this 2 days back, sir. I forgot to mention in any of my sessions. There is one country that is carbon negative. And maybe there is an indication that there are 2 countries. I had read about one country which is in our neighborhood, that is Bhutan. Their emission is 2 billion tons, and they are sequestering 7 billion tons through forest cover. So they are actually carbon negative. And why? Because their policy is not based on GDP, but their policy is based on gross happiness index. And all their policies are based on environment. So 60% of their land mass is covered with forest all the time. And these are type of fundamental shift in policies that we need to look into. So I thought I must share this with you and give you a thought and takeaway for you. And then over to the declaration for 13th World Renewable Energy Technology Congress and 6th World Water Summit. The 13th World Renewable Energy Technology Congress and 6th World Water Summit convened at the Convention Center, NDCC, New Delhi, India, through August 24-25, held extensive discussions on various facets of renewable energy and water technologies, their financing and utilization. After intensive and extensive deliberations, the following consensus emerged. Number one, the Congress noted with concern the growing and clearly discernible climate change signs across the world. The extreme weather conditions across continents like droughts, floods, forest fires, and extreme heat waves have caused alarms in developing and developed countries. Number two, the commitments made at COP events from Paris to Glasgow need to be cemented and demonstrated with concrete action and liberal outflows of technology and capital transfer. The envisioned energy transition has to take place simultaneously in the developed and developing populations, exhibiting the concept of one world, one environment. The pain of energy transition has to be softened, particularly for the vulnerable population. The Congress noted with satisfaction the recent advances in new and clean technology, new energy sources like hydrogen, and keen interest in investment in green hydrogen projects. Investment plans for major financing institutions globally and nationally have to ensure the early and timely setting aside of adequate funding for green fuel production and storage facilities. Distribution utilities need to refurbish themselves with consumer-centric and financially prudent policies. The Congress noted the imperative of transition mobility and the need for government to give adequate and timely incentive for the incubation and commercialization of new fuels and technology. There was a session on algae, fuel from algae, and from there, this is the outcome. Water is the most essential commodity for civilization. The purity of existing and available sources has to be declared sacrosanct, and an appropriate pricing mechanism has to be enforced globally, particularly in water-scarce regions, to bring about economy in use. Research in academic and research institutes need to be motivated for water treatment-based technologies on natural materials. Tax incentives be announced for all processes and technologies related to use of natural materials. Agriculture cropping patterns have to be made in synchronization with water availability. The pristine water resources, ice caps, and glaciers have to be declared sacrosanct for future generations. There is need to accelerate the deployment of sustainable biofuels in order to decarbonize transport sector. Significant developments are taking place in biofuel production from algae, which need to be promoted through financial incentives. The World Renewable Energy Technology Congress and World Water Summit invite the global green renewable energy and water communities to assemble again at New Delhi, India for 14th World Renewable Energy Technology Congress and 7th World Water Summit on 22nd and 23rd August 2023. This is signed by former Secretary Power, Government of India, Chairman, Energy and Environment Foundation, Lokesh P. Pandey, Senior Lecturer, Environment Engineering, University of Auckland, Dr. Rakesh Vij, Pandit Deendayal Energy University, Prabhjot Sodhi sir, Senior Program Director, Center for Environment Education, Dr. Vivek Bandyopadhyay, Dr. Anil Garg, and myself. Thank you.